Hi guys, welcome back to A Page in a Chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige. I like to read a lot of books and then talk about them here on this channel with you guys, and today we are doing my July wrap up. How the hell are we in August already? Like, this year is just going too quickly for words. Like, the days go quickly. I seem to blink and it's 4 p.m. and then the weeks are just flying by. It's almost autumn and then Christmas and then it's a whole new year. Like, what is happening? So today we are doing my July wrap up, and July was the very first month that I tried a set TBR and I loved it. You guys may have already seen that I uploaded a TBR for August, because the TBRs are I'm being so productive with my reading. I'm really enjoying my reading. I feel like I don't have any weird spots in the month of like, oh, what do I read next? And I still have some freedom. Like, I didn't 100% stick to my TBR. There were some books that I took out and swapped in. I can still read the books in whatever order I want to based on my mood. So I feel like it gave me the structure that I needed to read as much as I possibly could, but also the freedom to not get into a reading slump. So in the month of July, I read 11 books, which I believe is on one more book than was on my TBR. I believe I had 10 books on my TBR for July. So whilst I swapped out one book for a different book, I still managed to read the amount that I set myself and then go beyond that. And I kind of said in my July TBR video that I may be swapping out Solitaire because I wasn't entirely sure that I could handle a lot of the content warnings. I'm not too upset that I swapped out a book. I don't want to be too strict with my TBRs. That's going to be completely unproductive for my reading. If I don't want to read something, I'm not going to read it. If you guys like the sound of this video and you want to see more wrap-ups and TBRs and bookish videos, why not hit that big red subscribe button down below and stay tuned for future content. I upload twice a week on a Wednesday and a Friday, so there is no shortage of bookish content here. And so yeah, rather than rambling on anymore, let's get into the 11 books that I read in July, because I think we're going to be here a while. So the very first book that I read in the month of July was Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher. This was the book club pick for Rachel's Books and Me book club, which I am a part of and I'm really enjoying. It's such a lovely community if you guys are interested. And so this was the very first pick and the inspiration for the book club title. And this follows our main character Sophie. She lives in this very quaint little town, and then in waltzes Billy, who is a famous actor filming a Pride and Prejudice remake in this small village, and they meet and kind of have a whirlwind romance. Now, I have been holding back my feelings on this book because I just really didn't want to upset Rachel, but I didn't love this. I don't feel like Giovanna Fletcher gave me enough to convince me personally that these two people should be together. Billy was very self-absorbed, and I felt like Sophie wasn't very understanding of the fact that his career is very demanding and it's not always going to be about her. I don't know, I just didn't feel like they made a good couple, but everyone in the Discord was giving this 4 or 5 stars, so I think if it sounds interesting to you, maybe don't take my opinion, because I seem to be the odd one out with this view. However, it wasn't an awful book. I gave it 3 stars. I really enjoyed the female relationships in this book. Sophie has some brilliant connections with other female characters. There are some really heartwarming and heart-wrenching scenes in this book towards the end, and I absolutely adored Sophie's character development. She kind of gives up on herself and then really finds some strength towards the end of the book, and I loved seeing that. The only thing that kind of hampered my enjoyment of this book was just that I didn't particularly enjoy the romance, and this is a romance book, but every other aspect of the book was great. I just couldn't really give it a higher rating than a 3 stars when I just couldn't get behind Billy and Sophie. Like, I just didn't think that they made a good couple. So yeah, but I do think that you guys should check this book out. A, because it's one of Rachel's favourite books, and B, just because I did seem to be the only one in the Discord who didn't enjoy this book, so worth a shot, I think. So then, to continue on with the romance vibe, I then read Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. If you guys have been here for a while, then you will know that I read a Morgan Matson book every single summer. It's just what I do. I love Morgan Matson, and this book did not let me down at all. This is probably up there as one of my favourite Morgan Matson books ever. This book is heart-wrenching. Like, this book hurt, and to be honest, I was really a little bit embarrassed to admit that I sobbed like a baby at the ending of this book. But then when I put my review on Instagram, quite a lot of people reached out to me and were like, oh my god, I'm so glad I wasn't the only one who sobbed at this as well. So at least, like, it's a communal thing. This book is just objectively heart-wrenching. This follows our main character Taylor and her family, and they have kind of drifted apart as a family. They're not very close anymore, and then when they receive some life-changing news, they all decide that they're going to go back to their family lake house for this one epic summer of reconnecting, and Taylor is forced to deal with old friendships and old romances that she ran away from and left behind, and it is very much about Taylor having to learn to stop running away from her problems. What really draws me to Morgan Matson books is that they have very, very intense, strong family elements, and I feel like a lot of YA contemporary is only really focused on the romance, or the family is kind of there to provide drama, or characters don't really have good relationships with their family. And I love that Morgan Matson manages to construct families that really actually get along well, and they might be dysfunctional and they might provide drama, but her family elements are so cozy and normal. And the family elements in this book are the most pronounced in any of Morgan Matson's books, even more than Save the Date. Like, this book is more about family than it is about romance. I absolutely adored it. This was straight up a 5-star read. It's the only Morgan Matson book to make me cry like this. Like, it was full on, like, ugly tears. I really connected with Taylor and her feelings and just how she feels with her family. I've seen nothing but positive reactions to this book. Honestly, this and The Unexpected Everything are tied for my favourite Morgan Matson book. So then the next few books that I read were all books that were for my travelling with books vlog, which you guys can go and check out. This is basically a vlog where I read books that were set in cities I was supposed to visit before COVID like messed up those plans. And so the books that I read for that are Anna and the French Kiss, The Girl in the Blue Coat, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and Kingdom of the Wicked. I'm not gonna go in depth into my reviews of each one of these books. If you guys really want to see, you can go check out that vlog and just skip to the review portion for each book. I will not be offended. But essentially, Kingdom of the Wicked, I loved. I will be continuing with this series. It really took me by surprise how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was just going to be another middle of the road YA fantasy that didn't really capture my attention, but I adored it. It is essentially a YA fantasy set in Sicily that is kind of like a retelling of the 7 Deadly Sins. So it's really interesting, and the next few books are going to be new adult, I believe. So loved it. Anna and the French Kiss, one of my all-time favourite books when I read it the first time. Loved it just as much when I reread it for this vlog. The Girl in the Blue Coat, not what I would normally read at all. Really pushed the boat out with this book, and whilst it's not really my thing and I probably wouldn't read anything like it again, I did enjoy my experience of reading it, and I thought it was objectively a fantastic book, even if it wasn't really my type of thing. And Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor I did not enjoy, and I think is incredibly overhyped on BookTube. I didn't love it. But that's all I'm going to give you on these books, and if you want more in-depth thoughts, then you guys are more than welcome to go and check out that video. And then to do another little collection just to make this video more structured and to make it make sense, I reread the first 3 Harry Potter books. I read these as a kid when I was about 10 years old, and I have never ever reread them since. Now that I've received a full collection of the books for my birthday, I've decided to give them a reread. I read 3 in July, I have 1 on my TBR for August. So I read Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban in July, and honestly really enjoyed them. I don't know if it's a bit taboo to admit that you still really enjoy Harry Potter in the book community now, but I did. I was a little worried, to be honest, that I was a bit too old for them, that I would go back and really not connect with them in any way. Growing up, I just didn't feel that obsession with Harry Potter that everyone my age seemed to have. So coming back and rereading them, I was a little nervous. But all in all, I did really enjoy them, especially Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, a lot of people say this is their favourite book, and as a kid, I thought this was the worst one. I did not enjoy this at all. And admittedly, following the events of the past 2 books, this doesn't have quite the same structure to it. The story is a bit looser, it's a bit more fluid, but I think that is the author kind of setting up for the longer form plotline that you're going to get into in the next book. And as an adult, I actually really appreciated that and really enjoyed it so much more. So I kind of changed my tune a lot on Prisoner of Azkaban with the second read. I don't have too many thoughts on this. I didn't really go into it particularly analytically. It's a children's series, especially the first 3 books, and so I kind of just wanted to reread it for fun, for my own personal interest. I very much enjoyed my reread, especially like at the end of Prisoner of Azkaban. I was then in such a fantasy mood, which is good. I haven't been in the mood for fantasy for a very long time, so it's good that I'm feeling back in that mood now. We're getting down to the final 2 books now. I've sped through these quicker than I thought that I would, I think because I did 2 book bundles, I grouped them together. But the next book that I read was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my favourite book of the year. This book has my entire heart. Taylor Jenkins Reid has just done it again. This essentially follows the Reaver family, Nina Reaver particularly, the oldest daughter, and it tells their story, and this whole book takes place over the space of a day. You get a lot of flashbacks to their family in the past, how their parents met, what growing up with a famous father was like for them as children. Everyone keeps saying it takes place over 24 hours, but it kind of doesn't, because you get a lot of flashbacks. But the present day sections of this book take place over 24 hours, the day of the Reavers' famous annual party. It's very Taylor Swift's 4th of July parties, but even bigger. And going into this book, you know that by 6 a.m. the next morning, the whole mansion has gone up in flames. And this tells the story of the Reaver family and the events that lead up to that fire. There are so many crossovers with Evelyn Hugo. Like, I've had some people say that they loved Evelyn Hugo and they loved it so much that they're now a little worried to read some of Taylor Jenkins Reid's other works. I have not seen a review for this book less than 4 stars, and it has so many crossovers with Evelyn Hugo that if you're coming into Taylor Jenkins Reid from The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, this might be a good one to try next before going into any of her others. I read this in one sitting. Taylor Jenkins Reid has a beautiful writing style. She manages to write character-driven plots that are just beautiful and don't feel boring. I have never read a book that has captured my heart quite like this. So I'm almost certain, I'm 98% certain that this book is going to be my favourite book of the year, and I'm not even sorry about it. And then the final book that I read in July was also very summery romance contemporary vibes, and that is You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry, aka People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. It seems that in the UK it's called You and Me on Vacation, and in the US it's called People We Meet on Vacation. I was extremely confused by this when I was trying to buy the book, and having read the book, I think People We Meet on Vacation makes way more sense. But this is essentially a friends to lovers about our main characters Poppy and Alex, and they have been best friends since college, and they take a big summer trip together every single summer since college. However, they have had a falling out in recent years, and when Poppy is trying to get her life back on track and figure out her life, she invites Alex on one more big trip to try and stabilise her life a bit more. And so this follows the events of the current trip they are taking, and then you also get flashbacks to previous trips that they are taking. And again, this book has a little bit of a mystery element to it, because you are reading it trying to discover what happened with Poppy and Alex previously that has led to them not speaking for 2 years. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I did not enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I had seen amazing reviews of it. I had heard excerpts of it on TikTok that made me think that I would really enjoy it. But to be honest, I found it very predictable, which to be honest doesn't really affect my review, especially with a romance. Like, romances are very easy to predict, and I really don't mind that. I wouldn't have said that that particularly influenced my review, but I feel like I should put it out there that it's quite predictable. The main thing that led to a fairly average rating was that whilst I really enjoyed the present day, the tension between Poppy and Alex in the present day was everything. Like, it was so fun to read and written so well. Like, the tension was just But I found the flashbacks to be very, very boring. Like, I didn't really need to read about two best friends and what they get up to on a holiday. I don't feel like they really added to the story other than giving you glimpses into Poppy and Alex's friendship, but like they didn't really add to the story at all for me. I feel like they really broke up the pace of the story. Whilst it was kind of good because I was reading through them just desperate to get back to the tension-filled present, imagine how good the book would have been if it was just a whole book full of that much tension. You know, like it just I didn't love the flashback elements. In terms of tropes, this book did very well. It's a friends to lovers trope, it has taken care of the other when sick trope, and it has shared bed trope. Trope wise, this is very fun, and I definitely say check it out. A lot of people are loving this book. It's saying that it's converting them to friends to lovers. I'm still an enemies to lovers kind of gal. Like, this book didn't do enough to convince me that I like friends to lovers, because to be honest, I enjoyed the present day more, which is a little bit more enemies to lovers because they've had this huge falling out. So the actual friendship bits of this book I didn't enjoy. So maybe I'm just an enemies to lovers gal and I can't be convinced. This was a little bit of a letdown to end the month on, but what can you do? And so here we have the 11 books that I read in the month of July. It was such a good reading month, and I really enjoyed a lot of the books that I read, even though some of them had some fairly low ratings, but like overall I had a great reading month and just reading enjoyable books, which is always what you want, especially during the summer months. You just want to have fun with reading, and I definitely did that. I am just as excited to get into my August reading. All of the books on my August TBR I'm so excited to get to. If you guys are interested, you guys can go and check out my TBR video. Thank you guys very much for watching, especially if you made it this far. If you did make it this far, why not hit that big red subscribe button down below and stay tuned for future content. As I said, upload twice a week on a Wednesday and a Friday, so there's no shortage of bookish content here, and you've made it this far, so you can clearly stand the sound of my voice, which is the first hurdle. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. I hope that there are no reading slumps in your future and you enjoy everything that you have read and are reading, and I will see you on Friday for my next video. Bye guys.